to sort of look at the end result. What are we asking them to do in the end? You've had this unit on deforestation. Sort of think in the end, we're asking them to write a 3-paragraph essay. We've given you sort of some information about each student. We'd love to just sort of go around and just hear from you and see, what did you see? What are you thinking? What are your initial thoughts with this? Someone from this group willing to sort of share a couple of things?
So for prompt 1, we noticed that only one of them really has a lot of writing skills. To craft the essay, we noticed that all of them do have some previous schooling, which can be really helpful for at least like classroom routines and things like that. And that they all have very different profiles, so it's going to definitely take a lot of differentiation in assignment and assessment.
Bingo, great. How about from this group?
We noticed that they were very varied in their skills as well. Super varied.
And what did it make you think about in that final assignment? The expectations behind that?
Well, going from the can-do, just the fact that it's not going to be a 3-page essay, a 3-paragraph essay. It might look like a drawings and using a lot of different multidisciplinary tools to bring it in. But that they could also work together, or even the one, is it Marco with the lowest level, in terms of if his final project looks simplistic, in terms of class, we were talking about like class culture, that he is also the one who probably has the first-hand experience of deforestation from Brazil, or maybe has heard most about it, so he could elevate him in the class that way.
Coming with some background information. Yeah. Yes, excellent. And this last group over here?
I think that we had just ended on talking about how, when you were talking about different assets of students, so we noticed that some students were thriving in the oral language domain and others were in the literacy domain, so maybe pairing them together and having them work together to tutor one another or come up with an assessment or a final product that they could both share out their assets.
Yeah. Maybe taking into consideration, are they all going to be able to write that 3-paragraph essay, right? Is the first thing that should come to mind, right? What alternatives am I going to offer students who are level 1s for every domain?
Right. All the time where, teachers are like, I've always done this 3-paragraph essay every year and I have it all set and I'm so excited and and it's worked every year, but now what am I going to do for Marco? And so this is what happens, is that we get wedded to certain curriculum and certain projects, and we have to start to broaden that and say, okay, not that you don't do it, but what are the expectations going to be? So for Marco, for example, we might say he's going to produce descriptive words or phrases with pictures, so that he has pictures that he's using some technology for, and he's able to apply words from a word bank. Julia might be able to write a simple sentence using some descriptive language, and maybe you're pulling in some content words for her, some content words that maybe you share with the rest of the group, where you're talking about a habitat, or you're talking about erosion or ecosystems. So you're able to pull in some of those words for her. And then for the other student that we have, you might be able to say, well, wow, you're a level 5 student, and looking at his oral, his speaking isn't really strong, but he's a great writer. And so that's the piece where Nicole talked about, or someone did, about talking about how, this idea of you have to speak about something before you can write it, and that we really want to honor that production of language is also oral storytelling, oral, speaking, of even a content like a comparative essay. We now have technology, QuickTime players, Google Classrooms, where kids can upload a lot of work orally, and that is very, very valuable for language development. And so, as you can see, what we're trying to illuminate with this is that knowing your students with a student profile, looking at what they can do, looking at this, well, this is what everyone's going to need to do. So, but you have other students in your classes. And so part of our work is to try to say, they can do this work. They can do this cognitive work, this high cognitive demand of compare, contrast. They just don't necessarily have the language yet to produce what it is you want produced. And so part of that, using the student profile and the can-do descriptors, is to try to help collaborate with teachers to say, what can we do for children so that they can do the cognitive work, but they will need the supports of language for the different levels that they're in. And that led us to wanting to talk a little bit about what would be some of the supports that you might see
as classroom teachers, oftentimes they say, well, I use all of these things. Yes, but are you using them for the right student at the right time for the right assignment? Making sure that we're not just spending our time in one area. Are we asking them to write a lot or read a lot? Are we asking them to listen a lot, but we're not giving them time to talk? So really acknowledging the importance of using pictures and photographs, new vocabulary words. If they can put a picture with the word, it's going to make much more sense to them. They're going to be able to talk about it, and in the end, eventually be able to write about it. The same way with the graphic organizers that we select. Are they, there are millions to choose from, right? Are they too complicated? Is it too simple? Remember, we want to keep the cognitive demands, we want to honor that, right? We don't want to dummy everything down. So this idea of really making sure that we're offering supports that really encourage becoming the best student. And for Mo, he came to me in 6th grade as this very timid kid who really had no confidence whatsoever. It was a lot of, can you help me, can you help me, can you help me, can you help me? He wanted to go, Muhammad. After a while, he realized that he was one of 35 Muhammads, and we now call him Mo, and he loves it, and he has this he's had huge growth. He's in 8th grade now, and this is his bio. He speaks really quickly.
Muhammad Ahmad was born on October 28, 2002, and was born in Iraq, in the capital of Baghdad. Muhammad goes to Lincoln Middle School in Portland, Maine, and has dreamt of becoming a doctor, a speaker of 2 languages. He saw a lot of people dying, and people that don't get the help they needed in Iraq at the time of the war. So when he came to the United States, he could become a doctor and help people in need.
What is the biggest hoot is this is a kid who, when he came to us in 6th grade, had no ambition whatsoever. None. He was he schlepped around in his coat, refused to take his coat off. It was one of my big battles with him every day. It's 78 degrees in here, Mo, take your coat off. Nope, not taking the coat off. So needy. And to just see him over 3 years, he is amazing, amazing. And he wants to share his growth, and he wants to tell his story. And in person, when you talk to him, he's much clearer and he slows down, but
He's
taking it
nervous.
obviously, yeah.
And he did speak at CPI's national conference last year. He was on a panel with high school students, accomplished high school students who were on their way to college. And Mo was a 7th grader, and he begged us, please, I will come, pick me up. And he got in front of a large audience that, came from all over the country, and he sat in a panel with these elite high school students who were speaking about their story. And he said to Robin afterwards, I just cannot believe that people listen to me, and they really want to know what I have to say about my life. And again, Nicole speaks about that. Like, how do we find these moments to really connect with students? And I'm sure you're doing it all the time. And we're pulling these little highlight stories, but there are, many, many stories that are difficult and that don't happen, and mistakes we make, and kids that we miss, and kids that, aren't necessarily thriving. But a lot of what our work is about honing in on what we're doing well and continuing to do that really strong work, because each and every day you are making a difference in a kid's life and in a family's life, and that's the thing that we have to remember at the end of the day, not the thing that didn't work out, or the lesson that bombed, or the kid that took off from school, whatever it is. And so we're sharing these with you not to say that there aren't other things happening in our schools, but we just need a little bit of love and a little bit of goodness when we are talking about this really hard work. And we're really excited that you came, because now you get to go out into your field and continue that work. And I hope that you see us all as a resource. And I'm really excited to meet many of you who I've known maybe just by name. But now, I know I could reach out to you if I need to. So please feel free to do the same with us. We really appreciate your time. Oh, thanks.
Wow, that was fantastic. Thank you so much. I don't know how we'll ever come close to topping what we just experienced here. Any of our PDs that CPI does. But just to let you know, there are more coming, and if on your way out, if you want to see a schedule of this tour, this professional development tour, if any of you happen to live in far-flung places like Presque Isle or have a camp there, we're going to Presque Isle, we're going to Freiburg, so it may be that we're going to places that are hard to reach, but did want to let you know that more are coming, and thank you so much for coming.
And they'll be available
And
once
all
we're
of our
edited.
PDs will be available on CPI's YouTube channel that Rachel Knight has very kindly taught me how to use. And so if you want to share this as a resource, people can still get credit hours for watching the videos and then filling out Google Forms, which then they can earn contact hours through the YouTube channel on the whole series. So that's on its way. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, everybody. Nice talking to you.